Now moving to local news now, there's a big event for collectors coming up next month. Collectors Con showcases everything from comics to sports memorabilia. Abby St. John has more.
In November at the Lloyd X, Bab's Gaming Store is hosting a Collectors Con filled with a wide variety of vendors and events to take part in.
There's going to be a bunch of collectors and makers there, and there's going to be cosplay going on. There's going to be a Super Smash Brothers tournament. There's going to have there is a fun zone too, so if you're worried about your kids being preoccupied or running around, there will be a fun zone sponsored by J&R Automotive. They will have a bouncy house. We'll have a little mini modern arcade there as well, and then a place to do some coloring and drawing as well.
This event is a way for hobbyists and collectors to get together and see some of the cool things that will be taking place and the items that will be on display.
We enjoy the hobby of it a lot, and just like the collecting and just showing off what you got and just like cool little collectibles, or like, you know, we're gonna have some hockey card guys there and sports cards, and just to have the nice rare cards that, you know, you can only see. There's serial numbered cards, one of one. So there's only one in the world, and you get to see it. So I just think that's really cool. Or just like there's going to be some guys with comic books, and just, you know, I grew up on it, and it's just cool to me.
Attendees are encouraged to dress up in their favorite cosplay because there will be an opportunity to win some prizes.
There is going to be a cosplay contest. So dress up, come in cosplay. We'll have kind of like a little mini red carpet zone where you can take some pictures. And then we'll have a little cosplay contest, and you can get judged and possibly win a prize. Sonic and Pikachu will both be wandering around, so you can meet them throughout the event as well.
There is a $2 fee at the door to the event unless you are taking part in the Super Smash Bros. Tournament, which will be a separate fee.
So it's just a $2 entry at the door. That'll get you access to the whole thing, so that includes the family fun zone. And then everything that's included in there, all the vendors. If you do register for the Smash tournament, you're covered. You don't have to pay another $2 to get in the door. It's covered in your entry fee, which it's just a $10 entry fee for the Smash Bros. Tournament. Also, there will be the Ghostbusters of Alberta there, and they're going to be raising money for the Children's Hospitals of Alberta.
The goal is to make the Collectors Con a bi-yearly event for lovers of collectibles and video games to have an event similar to a Comic-Con to enjoy.
We're trying to do bi-yearly. My partner Andrew, he's the big organizer. He's the brains behind it, and you won't see him much in the store, but he's definitely a big part of it. He's the one who just does all the background work, and you know, he's just great with that. And we're trying to do it bi-yearly. We had one in March. We teamed up with the Tent Guys and their Family Expo. It went phenomenal. We had 2 tournaments going on. It went phenomenal. So now we're just kind of trying to get it down smaller to just collectors and that kind of stuff, and more Comic-Con-y, nerdy, geeky kind of stuff.
The Collectors Con is taking place on November 12th to the 13th at the Lloyd X. Sign up for the Super Smash Bros. Tournament is at Bab's Gaming Store prior to the event. For Primetime Local News, I'm Abby St. John.
And now it's time to take a look into the archives in this week's edition of Retrospect. In this week's Retrospect, we start in 1992 with 2 local sports organizations discussing the need for another ice rink in Lloydminster.
The purpose of it was to take a look at the actual need of, and if there needs to be more ice in the community, and also to look at the possible improvements and renovations that we need to consider for the present facilities that we have.
Minor hockey and the figure skating clubs are 2 of the biggest ice users in the city, and both feel a new artificial ice arena is long overdue.
As minor hockey, we feel there is, because basically right now we've got to rent ice out of town. We have some kids that only get to practice at 6 in the morning, and once we get into leagues, there are some teams that only get on the ice every 6 to 7 or 8 days, and that's only for an hour. So we feel that they deserve more than that. You know, we should be getting every team on the ice 2 to 3 times a week, and we're not getting that.
Well, the figure skating club has always maintained there certainly is a need. Not only us, but other users of ice in the community. There's no question.
Both organizations feel right now their groups are being affected. Minor hockey has seen a jump of 10% this year and not enough ice to go around. While the figure skating club membership hovers around the 200 mark, the maximum they can handle under the present situation. Both groups recognize that major renovations are needed at the Civic Center, but without another ice surface, the chances of holding provincial tournaments are out of the question. Results of the survey, good or bad, will be known the end of this month, and a public meeting has been set for the early part of November. Keith Snellgrove, NewsHour Sports.
And in '97, organizers at the Fur and Feather Show deal with a decline in youth participation.
That's what we're all after, yes, is more young blood. That's what we want to get in.
Palmblad and the rest of the judges at this year's Golden Feather and Fur Show are watching a decline in the number of youngsters participating. One of the reasons for that is the amount of other activities vying for the kids' time and energy.
Take a young kid that's, say, 10 years old and tell them that, you know, what you're going to do is raise chickens and show them at shows. When they can play soccer, play hockey, stuff like that, I think showing chickens and stuff like that is probably, you know, not the #1 priority.
Organizers of this year's show and a longtime exhibitor have partnered to try and increase interest amongst youngsters. They've created the Charlie Sjogren Junior Poultry Project.
We ended up with a total of 8 kids. They got 6 chicks from about like 3-4 day old chicks, and they raised them and then brought them here to this show. Results so far really favorable.
The youngsters were given just a brief judging seminar before entering their chickens in the show. Klinke says they plan to make the project a little more educational next year.
Well, this year was kind of, you know, here they are, raise them, see how you make out. Next year we're looking at getting maybe a little more into the grooming of them. How do you get them prepared for a show? You know, things you should be looking for a little bit more.
Industry officials hope the Poultry Project in junior classes and shows like this one will provide the new blood necessary to follow in their footsteps.
We stay down to their level, you know, and help, because they're going to be the ones after a while, and that you don't want to discourage them, because they're going to take my place one of these days.
Josh Clausen, NewsHour.
And that's it for this week in Retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
And after a pretty nice day here in Lloydminster weather-wise, it's time for us to check in with Shelly Clark to see if it's here to stay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jace Mackey. Beautiful start to the week, I would say for sure. I think we're all praying that this weather will continue on through the rest of October and hopefully through winter. I'm going to say it. Hopefully we don't see some snow, but I kind of doubt that's going to be happening. But, you know, a beautiful October we are seeing so far. Right now here in the Border City, we're just sitting at 20 degrees and seeing a lot more sun peeking behind those clouds. So a much sunnier day as well. So already starting off very strongly for the week. Hopefully everybody is out there and enjoying it. Aren't seeing too much of strong winds as well, which is nice to see. So seeing a beautiful day for sure here in the Border City. Hopefully everybody is getting out there, taking a stroll around Bud Miller and just enjoying their day. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, most spots seeing some nice warm temperatures with that 22, 23, especially down in this area here. Seeing that 21 for Marwayne and St. Paul. We start to kind of cool down as we go a bit higher up with that 17, 18 for Cold Lake and Bonnyville. And we're looking over at Lac La Biche. They're just at 19 degrees, but still seeing some nice temperatures over on our Alberta side. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side, they are kind of seeing the same conditions as what we are looking on our Alberta side, although Green Lake and Isla Cross seeing slightly cooler at that 13, 15, and we start to warm up from there. 19 for most spots here with Meadow Lake and St. Walburg. Seeing that 20 in Pierceland, as well as down in Maidstone, match with us here in the Border City. 22 in Macklin, so Macklin is looking at the warmest temperature. And over in North Battleford, slightly cooler, just seeing that 16, but still seeing those mid-teens, so not too bad, wouldn't be no complaints there. In North Battleford, we'll be going down to that low of 2 for their evening low, so cooling down, but seeing those plus temperatures, not in that minus just yet. So hopefully we see these evening lows kind of continue on. Then tomorrow, North Battleford, we'll be seeing that 18 throughout the day, so seeing a beautiful day, almost hitting that 20-degree point. So I think a lot of people are going to be excited to see those nice temperatures. Cold Lake will be going out to a low of 4, so seeing a pretty nice temperature for their evening low, not looking too bad whatsoever. And then tomorrow, seeing almost that 20 degrees as well with a mixture of some sun and clouds, so 19. Beautiful another day here during the week. I think everyone's going to be pretty happy to see that. For us here in the border city, going down to that low of 4, so seeing a nice temperature for our evening low as well, so can't really complain, no minuses. Then 20 tomorrow, we are reaching it. We are seeing some mostly cloudy, but we're going to be seeing a warm day, so not looking too bad. I think we're all pretty excited to see these nice temperatures throughout this week. And now ending off with a few weather viewer photo submissions. Thank you to everyone that have submitted so far this week. Already got tons of submissions, so really appreciate that. This one is from Darcy. I want to say that's how you pronounce it, DRC. Sorry if I absolutely butchered that, but gorgeous shot of Bud Miller, that walking trail there. You see another one from Jolene, absolutely gorgeous shot there. So thank you once again, and that's all I have for now. A lot more coming up after the break.
As we shift over to sports now, history was made in the border city this past weekend, and the Lakeland Rustlers Women's Hockey Club were a part of it. Our Adil Ahmed went down to cover the historic hockey game.
October 14th, 2022, a night where history was made inside the Russ Robertson Arena. A night that saw the Lakeland Rustlers women's hockey program play their first ever game in the ACAC. Their opponent, none other than the defending champion Red Deer Polytechnic Queens. Fellow Rustler athletes were in attendance to show their support.
We were so supported here tonight with such a nice crowd, and yeah, it was a real accomplishment tonight. We certainly won in that category.
Early on, the Rustlers had 2 great chances to score on the power play, including this one here by Madeline Mann, but the puck would stay out. The Queens would ultimately strike first thanks to Avery Lajeunesse, and the defending champs did not stop there, adding 2 more goals, and then, 18 seconds into the third period, the Rustlers get on the board. Kylie Perry would strike first for the Rustlers and make it a 3-1 game. However, that would be the last goal scored, as the Queens would take the victory. Despite the outcome, the Rustlers say they took away a number of things from the game.
It's definitely a lot faster hockey. The girls are a lot stronger. That's what I've noticed. More skilled also. You don't have enough time and space like you usually do, like last year.
I think we had as many grade A scoring chances as they did, so it was back and forth. Had a little, again, seems to be a little bit of our nemesis here is finding some luck around the net.
Although the Rustlers would have liked to come out victorious in Friday's game, there's a bigger picture behind all of that. It's having the opportunity now to play hockey in the ACAC.
Just knowing that the work that I put in has actually paid off and that I'm here in my own hometown playing for the Rustlers and just being the first year in the ACAC, it's been really, really exciting.
Such a good, strong group of people that support this team on the periphery that brings so much to allowing us to go out and compete in this league. So it's a big group effort, and proud of everybody that's involved.
The Green and Gold will continue on with the season as they get set to host the Olds Broncos on October 22nd at 7 p.m. Adil Ahmed, Primetime, Local Sports.
Now it's time for us to check in once again with Shelby Clark for an extended look at your evening weather forecast.
Beautiful introduction once again there, Mr. Jace Mackey. Thank you so much. Now taking another, okay, thank you. Yeah, he said you're welcome. Now taking another extended look at your weather forecast. We'll be starting off with our central zone of our provinces here. And on the Alberta side, definitely warmed up quite a bit, seeing some beautiful temperatures starting off in most spots over on this side. 20 degrees up in Athabasca, Baldas, 22 in most areas over on this side. Edmonton and Red Deer both at 23, and we're seeing 24 in Rocky Mountain House. So Rocky Mountain House is seeing the warmest compared to the rest, but we're all still seeing past that 20-degree point over on this end, so can't really complain. Seeing a beautiful day for most areas. Switching over to our Saskatchewan side, they are looking slightly cooler compared to our Alberta side for our central area, especially over in Melfort, just at that 10 degrees. 13 for Prince Albert, while the 16 in North Battleford and Saskatoon, just seeing 19 in Meadow Lake, and Cold Lake is just at 18. So slightly underneath most of the spots we are looking at on our Alberta side, so looking more in the mid-teens over on our Saskatchewan side, but still can't complain, still seeing a beautiful day here starting off the week. Going over to our northern zone now, they have warmed up in some areas, especially for Stony Rapids, La Loche, and Buffalo Narrows, now seeing that 10 and 14 degrees, so seeing those double digits, but the rest are all still sitting at that single-digit point. 3 down in Flin Flon, while the 6 in Wollaston Lake and over in South End there, and it is now 9 in Uranium City, so still looking cool down over on this side, but some areas are starting to warm up quite a bit. Going back to our Alberta side now for our northern zones, looking nice and warm. Definitely warmed up quite a bit from what we were looking at last week. 21, 22 for Grand Prairie and Peace River. The rest are just a few degrees cooler compared to the rest. 19 for Fort McMurray, while the 17 for Slave Lake. High level in Fort Chipewyan, just looking slightly cooler at that 14, 16, but still seeing those mid-teens, so no complaints here. And going over to our southern end now, definitely looking a lot warmer compared. Just as we kind of expected, they usually do see some warmer conditions, but for today, they are kind of matching with us in our central area, especially on our Alberta side. 25 degrees for Medicine Hat and Calgary, 24 for Lethbridge, and 22-20 for Banff and Coronation. So looking nice and warm in those areas. I'm going to end off with our Saskatchewan side in our southern end. They are looking slightly cool down, especially for Yorkton and Estevan. Seeing that 7 and 9 start to warm up from there, while there's 11 over in Regina, 16 in Moose Jaw, and then these are seeing the warmest with Swift Current and Kindersley with that 20 and 21. So looking slightly cool down, but some spots are still slightly warming up. So can't really complain. We are seeing a beautiful day, I would say, for in the week, starting off the week for most spots. And ending off with looking at some of our overnight temperatures here for across the surrounding areas and here in the region. 5, that's Isle Across Meadow Lake we'll be looking at with a low of 5 tonight. A low of 4 that Bonnyville will be expecting. Provost and Paradise Hill will be seeing a low of 3. So seeing those single digits, but those plus temperatures for our evening lows. Better than those minus 30s and 40s. I think we're all pretty grateful to still be seeing these. And looking at some other areas here, they're also kind of seeing those same conditions. A low of 3 that most spots will be expecting. Wainwright and Pearson will be expecting a low of 4, and Unity will be seeing the coolest with that low of 2, but still seeing not too bad of temps, way better than what we are going to be seeing in the winter. And ending off with our 7-day forecast for here in the border city. Like I said, 20 tomorrow with a mixture of some sun and cloud. Get ready for a beautiful day. Seeing another one on Wednesday in the middle of the week there, and then we start to cool down Thursday and Friday, unfortunately, ahead of our weekend with that 10 both Thursday, Friday. Seeing a high chance of that precipitation on Thursday, and seeing lots of precipitation Saturday and Sunday, and definitely cooling off next Monday. So just treasure these next few days coming up, because we will be cooling down right after that. That's all I have for now. Our Jason Mackey will have more news coming up after the break.
Today we have Clinton Monchuk, the Executive Director of Farm and Food Care Saskatchewan, and he's here today to tell us a little bit about what his organization, as well as a bunch of other organizations, are doing for Ag Month, which is, of course, this October. And so thank you so much for being with us today, Clint.
Thanks for having me, Thomas.
So, Clint, tell me a little bit about Ag Month and kind of when it started and what exactly farmers across Saskatchewan, Alberta, and all across Canada do during Ag Month.
So Ag Month is really a celebration of everything agriculture. So it's everything from the primary production, so farmers and ranchers, all the way through the food system, right to the plate of consumers. And every year, the province of Saskatchewan declares it as Agriculture Month in the month of October. But many other provinces or farmers or groups celebrate in the same manner, just as the harvest is coming in and we're kind of wrapping up with things on the farm, to just give a little bit more light and a little bit more, I guess, conversation around where our food is actually coming from.
Kind of what are some of those conversations that you're having, especially with some more of the consumers, as for sure those conversations are happening all throughout the ag sector, but often, especially these days, the big thing that the ag sector, at least from my experiences, is that trying to get to the consumer and tell them the journey that it takes in order for the food to get to their plates.
Yeah, and we see that there's becoming an increasing gap, right, between those who actually grow the food and those who actually consume the food. So we have a few different things. During the month of October, we have a very strong online activity, just using the hashtags meals from the farm and hashtag celebrate ag. So anybody listening in or watching can follow along with those hashtags. But it really gets a little bit deeper into some of the different activities that we do with Farm and Food Care Saskatchewan. We have a national initiative called Canadian Food Focus that aims to make sure that we have engaging conversations with consumers about their food. So we know a lot of consumers, and especially in the big cities here in Western Canada, whether it's Calgary, Edmonton, or Vancouver, that there's a lot of disconnect between the production of food and the consumption of food. And we want to make sure that we're having some more of those transparent and engaging conversations about what farmers and ranchers are actually doing and how that food is really getting to their plates.
Then, Clinton, what are some of the more specific organizations like Saskatchewan Pork and the Saskatchewan Chicken Farmers doing for Ag Month alongside Saskatchewan Food Care?
Yeah, 100%. This is one of the other avenues that we were talking about, what farmers and farm organizations are doing to give back to the communities that they involve in. Case in point, right at the end of September, Farm and Food Care with the chicken farmers of Saskatchewan actually sponsored a meal at the Friendship Inn in Saskatoon. So we served about 600 to 700 meals of chicken to those who are less fortunate in our community. And really what we're trying to do is just showcase the giving back that, you know, the cattle industry gives, the pork industry, a lot of the other industries that a lot of, you know, farmers and ranchers are a part of in this province are doing to give back to those less fortunate and making sure that we're strong members of the community as well.
Thank you so much, Clint, for all the information, and we hope you guys have a continued success with the Ag Month for the rest of this month of October.
Thank you for having me.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Peggy Sullivan, founder of She Can. And we are speaking on October being National Emotional Wellness Month. Thank you so much for joining us today, Peggy.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Really glad to be able to have you on here. It's important to speak on this since, you know, many residents here in the border city could also be struggling with these issues. Now, can you explain what National Emotional Wellness Month exactly is for people that just may not have heard of this, you know, national month and also have heard of She Can?
Yeah, it's really about us focusing in more on the things that we can do to jumpstart our happiness, to improve our mental and physical health and our overall well-being. There are so many things that are going on in the world that are out of our control these days, but there are also a lot of things that we can do to help us get in a better emotional state and control things that we have control over. And that's what it's all about, right? I mean, trying to control something you can't control is a waste of time, but lots of things we can control, and that's where we're focused.
And as being founder of She Can, what was the inspiration with having October as Emotional Wellness Month? What really inspired this?
Sure. I started She Can about 4 years ago, and it is a nonprofit for women to help them step into their power personally and professionally. And part of that is really understanding women in general. What are their challenges? What's going on with them? What do they need? What do they want? And so, about 4 years ago, I started doing a survey to understand women on a national level. I wanted to know what their challenges were. Were they happy? What was their emotional state? And unfortunately, the results are pretty startling. But what I learned is that 2/3 of the respondents are what they call surviving, not thriving. And only 5% of the respondents indicated that they were happy on a consistent basis. So, what that means is 95% of individuals out there don't feel happy in a consistent way throughout the day. And the reality is, people want to be happier. They want to have a more satisfying life, but they don't know how. Mostly because they're caught in busyness, right? We're on this cycle of getting stuff done and the treadmill of everything we need to do and our to-do list. And sometimes it's really hard to get off that treadmill and focus in on quality of life.
And I know with the current research that it's been showing with mental and self-care, it's at a low right now, especially for women. So what suggestions and tips can like to offer for people that they can input into their daily, busy lives, like you were saying, and can really help them find some more happiness?
Yeah, I always give people three pieces of advice when it comes to self care. The first thing is let go of perfectionism, right? I mean, we all seem to feel as though perfect is better, but sometimes good is good enough. You can't exercise for an hour, exercise for a half an hour. You can't bake cookies, go buy them at the store. Just let go of this notion that everything has to be perfect. The second thing that has really been quality of life for me personally was and is claiming your non negotiables. These are the things that no matter what, you will not let go of. And they should be things like sleep, nutrition, exercise, making sure that you have downtime. I know I love to spend quality time with my fur baby every day. He just makes me happy. It makes me smile. And so I make it a point to spend some time with my cat, Oliver. And then I think the last thing outside of letting go of perfectionism and claiming the things that you absolutely have to have in life is the concept of knowing what you value, right? I mean, values can be an abstract concept, but your values, they are the things that are important to you. They make you feel nourished, they make you feel like you're thriving. And many times, women, they don't know what their values are. You'll ask them and they'll start to think about it and they can't really answer that question. So if you don't know what your values are and you don't know what's important to you, it's really hard to make sure it's prominent and dominant in your life.
Perfect. And is there any last message you're hoping to share for women here in the border city, especially as well when it comes to National Emotional Wellness Month?
Yeah, I think the main thing is life has definitely been challenging. There've been a lot of life quakes. We've got inflation, we've got COVID, we've got wars, lots of things going on outside our control. And the one thing that we can control is just having a positive attitude and grabbing a slice of time for ourselves so that we feel rested, so that we feel nurtured, so that we're able to do the things that we love. And too many times we think it's selfish, but quite honestly, if we don't put on the oxygen mask first, it's going to be really hard to take care of family and friends and do a great job at work. So, women, go take care of yourselves. It is the most important thing you can do.
You're exactly right, Peggy. I think this is a very important interview we're having right now. I think it's almost going to be a wake-up call for some people that are watching this and they're needing to hear this message. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're quite welcome. Thanks.
Ending off with taking another quick look at your 7-day forecast for here in the border city. Get ready for some beautiful days ahead. Tuesday, seeing that 20 and 18 on Wednesday, both with a mixture of some sun and clouds. So make sure to get outside and enjoy that weather. Have a nice picnic because, it's coming soon. That snow is coming soon. So please make sure you take advantage. Thursday, Friday, we'll be cooling down to that 10 both days and even seeing around a 60% chance of that precipitation Thursday. So just be prepared for some showers right there in the AM. Then starting off the weekend, we will be seeing that 10 on Friday with a slight breeze, but we will be seeing a little bit more sun. Then we will be seeing a high chance of that precipitation once again on Saturday and Sunday and seeing some gloomier days. So unfortunately seeing a much cooler weekend ahead. Then heading into next week, we unfortunately will also be seeing a cooler day with that 5 next Monday.
Thank you so much for that, Shelby. Some great news. Got to take advantage of that warm weather while it's here because we know it's not going to be here for long. Thank you all so much for joining us for Primetime Local News on this Monday night. Have a good night.